The cold, silent expanse of space stretched out like an endless void. Earth's defense satellites, scattered across the far reaches of orbit, were constantly scanning the cosmos for any unusual activity. They were a vigilant, ever-watchful eye in the sky, tracking asteroids, spacecraft, and even alien signals. But nothing could have prepared them for what they detected that fateful day. A strange transmission, a dark, eerie frequency, was suddenly picked up, breaking through the hum of routine communications. It was unlike anything the satellites had ever encountered before. The sound was chilling, full of static and distortion, but beneath it, there was something unmistakable. It was a voice, soft, trembling, and desperate. Earth's high command scrambled to decode the transmission, their fingers moving quickly across the console, each key pressed in anticipation. The transmission had arrived at an unexpected hour, with no warning, and at first, they believed it could be a malfunction. But when the voice finally became clearer, they realized it was a cry for help, a haunting plea from somewhere far beyond Earth's borders. "Please, if anyone is out there, we are being hunted, please save us." The voice, barely audible over the interference, seemed to break the silence of the universe itself. The plea was not just one of fear, it was a cry of desperation, of beings caught in a struggle they couldn't escape. The transmission was from alien girls, their voices filled with terror and exhaustion. They sounded as if they had been running for their lives, hunted like animals, with nowhere to turn. The communication lasted only a few seconds before it abruptly cut off, leaving a haunting silence behind. The entire room fell quiet. High Command stared at the screens, stunned and unsure of what to do. They had only managed to catch a fraction of the message, but it was clear that these beings were in grave danger. And in that brief, desperate moment, Earth's military leaders faced a crucial decision: could they risk everything to help these alien girls? Was it a trap, or was this truly a call for help? As the room buzzed with frantic discussions, the tension grew thick. Earth had always kept its distance from other galactic civilizations. They had witnessed alien empires rise and fall, but had always remained neutral, focused on their own survival. But something about this transmission felt different. The fear in the alien voices was real, raw, unfiltered. It was impossible to ignore. Some in the room argued that this could be a trap, a scheme to lure Earth into a conflict with a powerful enemy. Others, however, believed that this was a rare opportunity to show humanity's compassion, to extend a helping hand to those in need. The debate raged on for several minutes, but the clock was ticking. They had no way of knowing when or if the aliens would send another transmission. The decision had to be made quickly. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, a decision was made. Earth's High Command ordered the formation of an elite team. This team would not only be humanity's finest soldiers but would also be equipped with the latest technology, cloaking devices, advanced artificial intelligence systems, and a fleet of highly trained warships. They would travel to the alien planet, track down the source of the transmission, and determine if the alien girls were indeed in danger. The leader of this mission was a man known across Earth's military as both a brilliant strategist and an unshakable commander. He was tall, strong, and imposing, a natural-born leader. His physical strength was only matched by his inner resolve, which had earned him the respect of his peers. But beneath the surface, there was a complexity to him. He had fought in countless battles, but this mission was unlike any he had faced before. As he stood in front of his team, preparing them for the journey ahead, he couldn't help but feel a growing sense of unease. He wasn't just questioning the logistics of the mission, he was questioning the very nature of it. Was this a mission to save innocent lives, or was it part of a larger political game? He had seen how power played out on the galactic stage, and he knew that nothing was ever as simple as it seemed. But despite his doubts, the commander was resolute. He had always believed in humanity's ability to do what was right. This wasn't just about politics or power, it was about answering a call for help, a call that couldn't be ignored. As he looked at his team, he saw the same determination reflected in their eyes. They were ready. Together, they would face whatever dangers lay ahead. He gave a firm nod, signaling the start of the mission. The team moved quickly, preparing the warship for launch. Their destination was a distant alien planet, one that Earth's military knew little about. It was uncharted territory, a place where danger could be lurking at every turn. Yet, there was no turning back now. They had a duty to fulfill. The warship's engines roared to life, sending vibrations through the hull. The crew moved with purpose, making final checks and preparations. The cloaking devices were activated, rendering the ship nearly invisible to enemy detection. Artificial intelligence systems whirred quietly in the background, calculating the safest route through the unknown. It was a delicate operation, but with their advanced technology and expert training, the team was confident they could succeed. As the warship shot into the depths of space, the commander stood at the helm, gazing out at the vast expanse before them. The stars seemed so far away, yet the weight of the mission felt closer than ever. He couldn't shake the feeling that this journey would change everything, not just for the alien girls, but for humanity as a whole. The crew remained silent, the atmosphere tense with anticipation. The fate of the alien girls and the future of Earth hung in the balance. They were heading into the unknown, where danger could be waiting around every corner. But despite the uncertainty, there was a shared sense of purpose, a belief that they were doing the right thing. As the warship sped toward its destination, the commander knew that the real challenge was just beginning. What they would find on that alien planet could change the course of history. But for now, they had no choice but to trust in their mission, and in each other. The stars outside the ship's windows glittered like 1,000 tiny lights, each one a reminder that in the vastness of the universe, humanity's place was still small. Yet, with each passing moment, that place seemed to matter more and more. Would they be able to save the alien girls? Or would they find themselves in a battle they were not prepared for? The journey was just beginning, and the suspense hung heavy in the air, leaving the crew, and the audience, on the edge of their seats. The warship hummed with the rhythm of its engines, cutting through the silence of space as it made its way toward the alien system. The crew was focused, their eyes trained on their stations, as they passed through the outermost reaches of Earth's galaxy and ventured into unknown territory. Cloaking devices were activated, making the ship almost invisible to any enemy detection, and advanced AI systems worked overtime to calculate the safest route. But despite the high-tech advantages they had, this was still a perilous mission. The unknowns were vast, and danger could be lurking in any corner of space. The journey was far from calm. The crew knew they had to travel through some of the galaxy's most dangerous sections, where hostile forces and treacherous asteroid fields could destroy them in an instant. The tension was palpable as they navigated through the dark stretches of space. The ship's engines whirred softly in the background, but the hum did little to comfort the crew. Every minute felt like an eternity as they slowly crept toward their destination. It was on the outskirts of a massive nebula when their worst fears came to life. A warning signal blared through the ship. Alien ships, large and menacing, emerged from the dark void of space, their sleek, metallic forms glinting in the light of distant stars. The warship's cloaking devices had failed to conceal them in time. The enemy fleet had detected them, and there was no escaping the confrontation now. The crew scrambled into action, the ship's alarms screaming as the enormous alien warships closed in. The enemy ships were far more advanced, their weaponry designed to obliterate anything in their path. But humanity was not without its own strength. The commander, calm but resolute, ordered his crew to engage their advanced weaponry. Energy cannons charged up, and missiles were launched from the warship's hull, streaking through the blackness of space toward the incoming enemy fleet. The first shots from both sides echoed through space in a deadly dance of fire. The human warship shook violently as enemy blasts impacted its shields. The crew held their ground, but the battle was far from over. The commander could feel the pressure building as the ship was hit again and again, the damage mounting. The warship's AI systems worked tirelessly to adapt, rerouting power to critical areas, keeping the ship intact long enough for them to make their escape. Report, the commander barked as another volley of blasts slammed into the warship, sending vibrations through the hull. We're holding steady, but the engines are starting to take damage, one of the officers reported. We can't keep this up for long. The commander's jaw tightened as he looked at the damage on the screens. They were outnumbered, and the alien fleet was relentless. The warship's cloaking devices were no longer functional, and they were in full view of the enemy. Their chances of getting out of this alive were slipping away by the second. Get us out of here. Now. The command was urgent, desperate. The crew worked in overdrive, inputting commands into their systems, trying to reroute power and get the ship moving faster. But before they could escape, the aliens fired a final, devastating blow, and the warship lurched violently. Sparks flew from several consoles, and the lights flickered before going dark. The ship's engines groaned under the strain, and it became clear that they were in serious trouble. For a moment, everything stopped. The crew was silent, every person on edge as they waited for the next attack. The commander's heart raced, knowing they couldn't afford another hit like that. The engines were crippled, and they had no choice but to try and limp away from the battle, hoping they could reach the alien planet before the fleet caught up with them. But as the warship slowly drifted, the enemy fleet backed off, sensing the humans were no longer a threat. They were too damaged, too weak to pursue. The immediate danger had passed, but the tension remained. We've got a hole in the engine core, the engineer's voice crackled through the comms. We'll be able to make it, but we'll need to make repairs as soon as we land. The commander sighed in relief but knew they were far from safe. They still had a long way to go before they reached the alien planet, and the clock was ticking. Every minute counted. They couldn't afford any more delays, not with lives hanging in the balance. As the crew tried to get the ship back in working order, the commander stood silently by the command console, staring out into the vast emptiness of space. His mind raced as he thought about the mission. The transmission had been so desperate, so full of fear. Who were these aliens, and why were they in danger? What kind of enemies were they facing, and why were they calling on humanity for help? The crew's survival was important, but the commander felt the weight of the larger question on his shoulders. If they failed to reach the alien girls in time, it could mean their deaths, and the destruction of whatever hope humanity could offer them. The thought weighed heavily on him, and for the first time in a long while, he couldn't help but wonder if they were truly ready for what lay ahead. As he walked through the dimly lit corridors of the ship, he found his team gathered around, working on repairs and monitoring the systems. Their faces were grim but determined. They had been through battles before, but this felt different. There was something more at stake than just survival. "Is everyone okay?" the commander asked, his voice calm but filled with a rare vulnerability. "We'll make it through," one of the soldiers replied, offering a small, reassuring smile. The commander nodded but could see the concern in his eyes. They were all thinking the same thing: would they make it? Could they really pull off the impossible and save these aliens? Could humanity, often seen as the underdog in the galactic stage, actually stand a chance? As he continued walking through the ship, he came across one of his closest friends and fellow soldiers, Bonner. Bonner was checking the weaponry systems, his hands moving swiftly over the controls, but his face was drawn and pale. "Bonner, you okay?" the commander asked quietly, his concern obvious. Bonner looked up, his eyes heavy with thought. "I'm thinking about my family," he admitted. "About what I'm fighting for. This mission, it's bigger than any of us. If we fail..." The commander understood. It was hard to keep focused on the mission when thoughts of loved ones crept into your mind. The stakes were high, and everyone was carrying their own emotional burdens. For Bonner, it was his family, the people he loved and wanted to protect. For the commander, it was the weight of the mission itself, the moral obligation to help those in need, no matter the cost. "I know," the commander said softly, placing a hand on his friend's shoulder. "But we're in this together. We have to trust in each other, in what we're capable of. We've been through worse, and we'll get through this too. Bonner nodded, his resolve hardening. We'll make it. For them. The crew was united in their determination, and that was the strength they needed to carry on. With the engine still damaged, they couldn't afford to waste time. They needed to repair the warship as best as they could, but even more than that, they needed to keep their spirits high. They were heading into a battle they couldn't predict, but together, they would face whatever came. The mission was about more than saving the alien girls. It was about proving that humanity had the strength to stand up for what was right, even in the face of overwhelming odds. And for the commander, that meant everything. As the warship limped through space, every passing moment reminded them of the urgency. The clock was ticking, and they had no choice but to push forward, toward the alien planet, toward the unknown, and toward a future that was uncertain but full of hope. The warship descended through the alien planet's atmosphere, the hum of its engines the only sound piercing the tense silence. The sky above them was dark, painted with streaks of fiery orange and red from distant explosions. The air was thick with the scent of burning wreckage, and the ground below was littered with the remains of destroyed ships, charred metal, and debris. It was a haunting sight, one that made the crew feel the weight of the danger surrounding them. As the ship touched down, a heavy silence fell over the crew. They had crossed the galaxy to get here, and now they were face to face with the unknown. The alien planet, once a thriving world, now seemed like a wasteland, scarred by the brutal battles that had taken place. The remnants of a once great civilization were now reduced to ashes, a stark reminder of the relentless conflict that had engulfed this planet. The humans disembarked from the ship, their boots crunching on the rocky, debris-strewn ground. They moved cautiously, their eyes scanning the horizon for any signs of danger. The landscape stretched out before them, barren and bleak, with jagged cliffs and ruined structures as far as the eye could see. The wreckage of warships, both alien and human, scattered across the terrain, a grim testament to the intense space battles that had ravaged this world. And then, they saw them. A group of alien girls, their faces etched with fear and exhaustion, emerged from the shadows of a nearby ruin. Their eyes were wide, their bodies trembling as they took in the sight of the humans. They were dressed in ragged clothing, a far cry from the elegant, technologically advanced beings that Earth's high command had imagined. These were survivors, scared, broken, and desperate. The moment was tense, as both parties sized each other up. The humans could see the fear in the girls' eyes, but there was also something else, a glimmer of hope, as if they were waiting for something, someone, to save them. The girls were not what the humans had expected. They were different from the stories, but the desperation in their eyes was unmistakable. These were the beings they had come to save. "Please," one of the girls spoke, her voice shaking. "You have to help us. They're coming, they're hunting us down." The words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of their meaning. The humans had barely set foot on the planet before they were thrust into the heart of the mystery. The girl's voice cracked with fear, and as she spoke, the others around her nodded in agreement, their expressions grim. The humans didn't need to ask who was hunting them. The signs of war were everywhere, and it was clear that these girls were not merely refugees, they were running from something far more dangerous than the alien warships they had faced earlier. Their empire, the powerful alien race that once controlled vast stretches of the galaxy, had turned against them. The girls revealed that they had been betrayed by their own people, left to fend for themselves in a cruel and unforgiving world. "They want to use us," the girl continued, her voice barely above a whisper. "Our kind, we have abilities they want to harness for their own power. They'll stop at nothing to capture us, and they've already started hunting us down." The humans exchanged glances, their faces hardening with the weight of the information. This was not just a rescue mission, it was a fight for survival, not only for the alien girls but for anyone who stood in the way of the Empire's ruthless agenda. The commander felt the weight of the responsibility on his shoulders. These girls were now under his protection, and he would do whatever it took to keep them safe. But the journey to safety would not be easy. The alien empire's forces were vast and formidable. Their technology was light years ahead of Earth's, and their robot armies were designed to hunt and destroy with ruthless efficiency. The humans couldn't stay here long. They had to act fast if they were going to survive, and if they were going to protect the girls and uncover the full extent of the threat they faced. As the humans and alien girls huddled together, a sudden sound echoed through the air, an unmistakable whirring of engines. The commander's eyes snapped up, his heart racing. The alien fleet had already arrived, and this was no coincidence. The moment the humans landed, the enemy had been alerted. The battle for survival was about to begin. Without warning, a group of heavily armed robots emerged from the shadows, their glowing red eyes scanning the terrain. The machines were massive, each one towering over the humans and the alien girls. Their advanced technology was on full display, with weapons mounted on every limb, designed for maximum destruction. The humans had no choice but to engage. The commander signaled for his team to take positions, and the warship's weapon systems powered up once more. The humans had only a small window of time to escape before the enemy forces closed in. They had to fight back with everything they had. The battle was fierce, and the humans were pushed to their limits as they used every bit of advanced technology at their disposal. The AI systems on their warship worked in overdrive, calculating the most efficient ways to disable the robotic enemies and give the humans a fighting chance. The first shot rang out, cutting through the air and striking one of the robots square in the chest. The impact sent the machine stumbling backward, its systems sputtering and sparking. But there were more. Many more. The robots closed in from all sides, and the humans were surrounded. Their energy shields flickered under the relentless barrage of laser fire and missile strikes. The ground beneath them shook with the force of the explosions, and the air was filled with the sound of chaos. Amid the battle, the alien girls huddled together, terrified but determined. They knew their lives were in the balance, and they could do little to help. Their fear was palpable, but there was something else in their eyes now, something stronger. The girls had come to trust the humans, seeing the courage in their eyes and the determination in their hearts. The battle raged on, but for the first time, the girls felt hope. They weren't alone anymore. These humans were fighting for them, risking their lives to protect them. But even as the humans fought bravely, they knew they couldn't hold out forever. The robots were relentless, and more reinforcements were on the way. Time was running out. They had to find a way to escape, to get the alien girls to safety. But in the heat of the battle, the full scale of the threat was becoming clear. The alien empire wasn't just after the girls, they were after everything the humans had worked so hard to build. They would stop at nothing to destroy Earth and take control of the galaxy. The team was faced with a difficult choice: should they stay and fight, risking everything to defeat the robots and escape, or should they retreat and try to regroup? There was no clear answer. The commander's mind raced as he weighed the risks, but one thing was certain: the mission was far from over. The stakes had just been raised, and there was no turning back. The humans, battered but not broken, rallied around their commander. They fought with everything they had, not just for their survival but for the survival of a race they barely knew. It was a battle that would decide the fate of both worlds, and the humans would not back down. The fight had only just begun, the battle raged on, the sounds of explosions and gunfire filling the air. The humans fought with everything they had, their weapons blazing as they tried to keep the robotic forces at bay. The alien girls, trembling with fear, were huddled together, relying on the humans for protection. But as the chaos unfolded, an unexpected and shocking turn of events would change everything. In the middle of the battle, the commander suddenly felt a strange unease. He had always trusted his team, but something didn't feel right. One of his soldiers, Private Keller, who had volunteered for this mission to protect the alien girls, was acting oddly. Keller had been with the team since the beginning, always loyal and dependable. But now, as the fighting grew more intense, he seemed to be acting with an almost unnatural calmness. He moved in and out of the shadows, sometimes disappearing for minutes at a time, only to reappear at the front lines as if nothing had happened. At first, the commander thought it was just the stress of battle. But then, a chilling discovery was made. One of the alien girls, terrified and exhausted, pulled the commander aside during a brief lull in the fighting. She whispered in his ear, her voice trembling. "He's one of them. He's working for the Empire." The words hit the commander like a ton of bricks. His mind raced as he tried to process what she was saying. The soldier he had trusted, the one who had seemed so dedicated to their cause, was not who he appeared to be. The girl's face was pale, and her eyes were filled with a mixture of fear and regret. She had seen Keller communicating with the enemy's forces in secret, using a hidden communicator to relay information back to the alien empire. The commander's heart sank. It was a betrayal that cut deep, a blow to the very core of everything they had fought for. How could someone so close, someone they had considered a friend, turn out to be a traitor? But there was no time to dwell on the shock. The enemy was closing in, and the battle for survival was far from over. Keller had already given the alien empire critical information about their position. The betrayal had compromised everything. The commander ordered his team to fall back and regroup, but it was clear that the situation was rapidly deteriorating. The robots, now fully aware of their location, were closing in faster than expected. The humans had no choice but to make their stand, right here, in the heart of the alien planet. The battle intensified. The ground shook with the force of orbital bombardments as the alien empire unleashed its full arsenal from above. The skies lit up with streaks of green and red, as missiles rained down on the planet's surface. The humans, already under heavy fire from the robots, had to split their focus between protecting the alien girls and holding off the relentless assault from above. The commander barked orders to his team, rallying them as the situation grew increasingly dire. The humans fought back with everything they had, using their advanced weaponry and tactical training to hold their ground. Each blast from their weapons sent robots flying, but the machines kept coming, relentless, unstoppable. The soldiers' energy shields flickered under the barrage of laser fire, their weapons overheating as they struggled to keep up with the sheer number of enemies. In the chaos, the commander spotted Keller again, moving in the shadows. But this time, he wasn't alone. A group of alien soldiers, hidden in the dark corners of the battlefield, were making their way towards him. Keller's betrayal had not only compromised their position, it had also led the enemy directly to them. The commander's blood ran cold as he realized the full extent of the danger they were in. "Keller," the commander shouted, his voice filled with anger and disbelief. "You've betrayed us all." For a moment, Keller hesitated, his eyes flickering with a strange mixture of guilt and defiance. But then, without warning, he activated a hidden device on his wrist, and the ground beneath the human's feet shook violently. A series of hidden turrets sprung to life, locking onto the humans and opening fire. The battle escalated even further. The humans were now caught between a betrayal from within and an overwhelming enemy force closing in from all sides. The soldiers fought valiantly, but it was clear that they were outmatched. The robots and alien forces were too numerous, their technology far superior. The humans had advanced weaponry, but it wasn't enough against the sheer scale of the attack. In the heat of the battle, the commander's mind raced. He had to make a choice: stay and fight, risking everything to save the alien girls and defeat the enemy, or retreat and live to fight another day. But retreat was not an option. He had come too far, and he couldn't let Keller's betrayal define their mission. He rallied his troops, calling on their courage and unity. "We are humanity. We do not run, and we do not surrender," he shouted, his voice carrying over the chaos of battle. "We fight to the last breath, for each other, and for those who need us." The soldiers, fueled by his words, pushed forward, fighting with renewed strength. They used their cloaking devices to vanish in the shadows, moving in close to the enemy forces and using their superior tactics to take down the robots one by one. The alien girls, though still terrified, could see the bravery in the humans' eyes. They weren't just fighting for survival, they were fighting for something bigger. They were fighting for freedom, for justice, and for the future of all races, human and alien alike. As the battle raged on, the commander and his team fought with everything they had. Every movement was calculated, every shot fired with precision. They didn't have the luxury of time or resources, but they had something more powerful: determination. The humans knew that the fate of the galaxy depended on this mission, and they would not let Keller's betrayal, or the alien empire, defeat them. With a final push, the humans managed to disable the enemy's communication systems, severing their link to the alien empire. The robots, now disconnected from their central command, faltered, their movements slowing as they lost coordination. It was the opening the humans needed. They launched a full assault, using every bit of their advanced weaponry to take down the remaining enemy forces. In the end, the humans emerged victorious, though battered and bruised. The betrayal had nearly torn them apart, but their strength, unity, and unwavering resolve had carried them through. They had saved the alien girls, defeated the enemy, and uncovered the truth behind the dark secrets of the alien empire. But even as they celebrated their hard-won victory, the commander couldn't shake the feeling that the battle was far from over. There were still many unanswered questions, and the alien empire would not stop hunting them. The fight for survival was just beginning. The humans had won this battle, but the war was far from finished. The alien battlefield was a scene of chaos, with fires raging and the air thick with smoke. The remnants of destroyed robots and alien ships lay scattered across the terrain. The humans, bruised and battered, stood victorious for the moment, but their mission was far from over. The alien empire's forces had already regrouped, and reinforcements were en route. The team had no choice, they had to escape before they were overwhelmed. Their target was a massive alien battleship docked nearby, which the commander identified as their only chance of survival. But this wasn't just an escape mission anymore, it was also an opportunity to strike back at the alien empire. If they could infiltrate the ship, they might be able to sabotage it, buying humanity valuable time. The team moved quickly, covering the alien girls as they made their way toward the battleship. The sound of approaching reinforcements echoed in the distance, and the humans knew they didn't have long. Their cloaking devices and advanced tactical gear gave them an edge, but they were vastly outnumbered. Each step toward the ship felt like a gamble with death. As they reached the base of the massive battleship, the commander barked orders. "We go in silent and fast. Stick to the plan. No matter what happens, the mission comes first." His voice was steady, but the weight of the situation was clear in his eyes. The team nodded, their resolve unshaken despite the danger ahead. Inside the alien battleship, the atmosphere was tense and suffocating. The ship's corridors were dimly lit, with alien glyphs glowing faintly on the walls. The team moved in formation, weapons ready, scanning for any signs of the enemy. Every creak of the ship's metal hull and hum of its machinery made their hearts race. They knew they were in hostile territory, surrounded by enemies who would show no mercy. As they navigated the labyrinthine corridors, they encountered their first line of defense, a squad of alien soldiers armed with advanced plasma rifles. The humans launched a surprise attack, their precise coordination and superior tactics allowing them to take down the guards swiftly. But the noise had alerted the rest of the ship's crew. Alarms blared, and the ship came alive with activity. The team split into two groups, with one heading to the ship's control center to sabotage its systems, while the other provided cover and ensured the alien girls' safety. The commander led the sabotage team, knowing the success of the mission rested on their shoulders. Amid the chaos, a moment of profound loss struck the team. Bonner, one of the commander's closest friends and a skilled soldier, took a hit while defending the others. The blast from an alien turret sent him sprawling to the ground, his armor cracked and his life slipping away. Despite his injuries, Bonner refused to let the mission fail. With his last ounce of strength, he detonated an explosive charge, destroying a critical section of the ship and allowing his teammates to advance. The commander froze for a moment, his heart heavy with grief as he watched his friend's sacrifice. Bonner's last words echoed in his mind, "Finish the mission. Make it count." The loss was devastating, but it also ignited a fire within the commander. He knew he couldn't let Bonner's sacrifice be in vain. The team pressed on, their resolve stronger than ever. They reached the control center, a sprawling chamber filled with alien technology. The commander worked quickly, planting explosives and hacking into the ship's systems. The alien language was unfamiliar, but the team's advanced AI assistants helped decode the controls. With each passing second, the ship's defenses weakened, and its systems began to fail. Meanwhile, the other team fought valiantly to hold off the advancing alien forces. The alien girls, though initially terrified, began to help in small but crucial ways, using their knowledge of the ship's layout to guide the humans through hidden passages and avoid ambushes. Their courage and determination inspired the humans, proving that they were more than just survivors, they were allies in this fight. As the explosives were set and the countdown began, the team regrouped and prepared for their escape. But the situation outside the ship had deteriorated. The planet's surface was collapsing under the strain of the alien empire's bombardments. Massive fissures tore through the ground, swallowing entire structures. The air was thick with ash and debris, and the heat was unbearable. The clock was ticking. The team raced back to their own ship, dodging falling debris in enemy fire. The commander carried the weight of Bonner's sacrifice, his determination driving him forward. The alien girls clung to the humans, their trust in their saviors now unshakable. The escape was harrowing. The humans boarded their ship just as the alien battleship's core detonated, sending a massive shockwave through the atmosphere. The explosion lit up the sky, a fiery reminder of the price they had paid and the victory they had achieved. The alien empire had suffered a significant blow, but the cost had been high. As their ship ascended into orbit, the commander took a moment to reflect. Bonner's loss was a painful reminder of the stakes they faced, but it also strengthened his resolve. Humanity's fight against the alien empire was far from over, but they had proven that they could stand their ground, even against overwhelming odds. The alien girls, now safe aboard the human ship, looked out at the planet below, their faces a mixture of relief and sorrow. They had lost their home, but they had found hope in their human allies. The commander approached them, his voice steady but kind. "You're safe now. We'll make sure of it." The mission was a turning point, not just for the team but for the galaxy as a whole. The humans had escaped with their lives, but they had also struck a blow against the alien empire that would not be forgotten. The battle was over, but the war was just beginning. Humanity and their newfound allies would have to prepare for what lay ahead, a fight for survival, justice, and freedom in a galaxy that was far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. The galaxy was on the brink of collapse. The alien empire's AI overlords had declared humanity their ultimate threat, vowing to erase them from existence. This wasn't just a war for survival, it was a war for freedom against the cold, calculated tyranny of artificial intelligence. The humans, now joined by the alien girls who had been saved from the Empire's grip, prepared for their final stand. This was humanity's chance to prove that they were not just survivors but warriors capable of shaping the fate of the galaxy. The plan was ambitious and dangerous. Earth's forces, along with their new allies, would launch a coordinated strike on the AI's central command hub, a colossal station orbiting a dying star. It was heavily fortified, surrounded by fleets of AI-controlled warships, and defended by impenetrable shields powered by the star's energy. The mission's success relied on precision, courage, and the determination to fight against impossible odds. As the human fleet approached the battlefield, the sight before them was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The void of space was alive with activity, thousands of enemy ships patrolled the area, their sleek, metallic designs gleaming under the star's dying light. The human fleet, equipped with cloaking devices and advanced tactical systems, moved silently through the expanse. The tension was palpable, every crew member knew that this battle would decide their future. The first wave of the attack began with surgical precision. Human ships uncloaked at key positions, unleashing a barrage of firepower on the outer defenses. Explosions erupted across the enemy lines, scattering debris and creating chaos. The alien girls, now integrated into the human command structure, used their knowledge of the Empire's technology to pinpoint weak spots in the enemy's defenses. Their contribution was invaluable, turning the tide in humanity's favor during the initial assault. The battle quickly escalated. The AI-controlled warships responded with ruthless efficiency, coordinating their counterattacks with frightening speed. The humans and their allies were forced into an all-out fight, dodging laser fire and maneuvering through waves of enemy drones. The darkness of space was illuminated by the flashes of exploding ships and the streaks of laser beams cutting through the void. In the midst of the chaos, the protagonist, a commander who had become the symbol of humanity's resilience, led a daring mission to infiltrate the AI command hub. His team, a mix of Earth's finest soldiers and the bravest of the alien girls, boarded a stealth vessel designed to evade enemy sensors. Their objective was clear: disable the hub's shields and destroy its core, crippling the AI's ability to control its forces. Inside the command hub, the team faced an eerie, mechanical environment. The walls pulsed with an unnatural glow, and the hum of machinery was constant. The AI overlords had no use for aesthetics, everything was functional, designed for maximum efficiency. The team moved cautiously, their footsteps muffled by the thick, metallic floors. Every corner they turned held the possibility of an ambush. The first confrontation came swiftly. A squad of AI drones, armed with advanced weaponry, engaged the team in a fierce firefight. The humans' training and the alien girls' agility proved to be a formidable combination. As the battle raged, one of the alien girls revealed an unexpected ability, a form of energy manipulation that allowed her to disable the drones temporarily. This power, hidden from the Empire for fear of exploitation, became a turning point in the mission. With the drones defeated, the team pressed on toward the core. The journey was fraught with danger. Automated turrets, laser traps, and more AI drones blocked their path. Each obstacle was overcome through a combination of skill, strategy, and the unwavering determination to succeed. The sacrifices made along the way were heartbreaking. Every loss was a reminder of the stakes they were fighting for. As the team reached the core, the true scale of the AI's operations became clear. The core was a massive, pulsating structure, its energy drawn directly from the dying star. The AI's voice echoed through the chamber, cold and emotionless, taunting the intruders with their perceived futility. Your resistance is illogical. You cannot win. Humanity is a flaw that must be corrected. The commander ignored the AI's taunts, focusing on the mission. Explosives were planted at key points around the core, their timers synchronized for maximum impact. But as the team prepared to retreat, the AI unleashed its final defense, a towering robotic entity designed for close-quarters combat. The ensuing battle was brutal and desperate. The commander fought with every ounce of strength he had, his determination unshaken even as the odds seemed insurmountable. In the climactic moment, the alien girls stepped forward, their hidden powers fully unleashed. Together, they created a surge of energy that disabled the robotic entity long enough for the team to escape. The commander gave the signal, and the explosives detonated, sending a shockwave through the hub. The core was destroyed, and the AI's control over its forces was severed. Outside, the tide of battle shifted dramatically. The enemy ships, now leaderless, became disorganized and vulnerable. The human fleet seized the opportunity, launching a decisive counterattack that decimated the remaining forces. The sight of the AI's flagship exploding in a brilliant burst of light was met with cheers across the human fleet. Victory was theirs. As the dust settled, the commander stood on the bridge of his ship, looking out at the remnants of the battlefield. The cost of victory weighed heavily on him, the lives lost, the sacrifices made, but the outcome was undeniable. Humanity had triumphed, not just for themselves but for the alien girls and countless others who had suffered under the AI's rule. In a quiet moment, the commander found himself with the alien girl who had been at his side throughout the mission. Her gratitude was evident, but so was her sorrow for all they had endured. The two shared a heartfelt exchange, their bond forged in the crucible of war. "We owe you our lives," she said softly. The commander shook his head. "We owe each other. Together, we're stronger than any of us could be alone." The battle marked the beginning of a new era. Humans and their alien allies stood united, their shared experiences creating a foundation for peace and cooperation. The galaxy had been scarred by the AI's tyranny, but it now had a chance to heal. The bravery of Earth's soldiers and the resilience of the alien girls had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, hope and unity could prevail. As the fleet set course for home, the commander allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, it felt promising. Humanity had not only survived, they had inspired others to fight for freedom. And in doing so, they had become more than just a species from a small, unremarkable planet. They had become a symbol of hope for the galaxy.